So what are the child's non-negotiable, irreducible needs? So there's four basic ones. One is for attachment. Attachment meaning that we have to belong to somebody, we have to be close to somebody for the purpose of being taken care of, or to take care of the other person. So both parents and children have this attachment drive. That attachment has to be there because the human infant is helpless and utterly dependent. So that without attachment, we don't survive. No mammalian species can survive without attachment. Even birds can't survive without attachment. Reptiles can, but birds and human beings can. So that attachment is a basic need, irreducible. By irreducible, I mean, if it's not met, there's negative consequences. The second basic need, irreducible need, is rest from having to work. So rest from having to work to do what? To make the relationship work. And they would agree with this, that the child needs not to have to work to make that attachment relationship succeed. The child needs rest from that. Because in that rest, our nervous system is in a state where we can grow emotionally and physically. And in the absence of rest, our development is distorted. So I'll show you a photograph. This is, I don't know if you can see this. This is me and my mom. I'm 4 months old here. My mother, if you can see that shining star on her chest, that's the Jewish star that Jews in Budapest had to wear under the Nazi occupation in the year 1944 when I was born. And if you look at the face of that child, it's hardly the face of an infant. It has a really faraway adult look about it. A very old looking little baby. That was 5 months old. I had no rest because given the emotional state that my mother was in, I already had to work to make that relationship work. So that's not a part in my, although it's useful to talk about it that way therapeutically, for me, it's simply an adaptation to the environment. And I can tell you, I don't know if I said this story the other day, but if I do, I'm repeating myself. Did I talk about this mushroom experience that I had the first day? The reason I'm asking is because I talked to so many people.
No.
I no longer know what I said to whom. Okay, so 5 years ago, I was in a therapist's office in the United States, actually. I'd taken mushrooms. I was the client. I was 70, make it 6 years ago. I was 72 years old. I knew that I was Gabor. I knew that I was a doctor. I knew I had written books. I knew who I was, what I was doing in the world. I knew this person was a therapist. And at the same time, I experienced myself as a 1-year-old infant, and she's my mother. So I'm there with that double awareness. And I start crying. And I'm 1 year old, and I'm saying to this therapist, quote, "Mother, I'm so sorry I made your life so difficult." So already at 1 year of age, I took on the responsibility to make that other person happy. Now that wasn't, and the guilt for not doing so. That wasn't, from my point of view, that's not so much a part as an adaptation. And so, again, I'm going to quote Dick here, who says it so well in his book, Internal Time Systems Model. He says that for efficiency's sake, the brain is designed to form clusters, connections among certain memories, emotions, ways of perceiving the world, and behaviors. And these clusters stay together. I believe that's true, but I don't see this as different personalities, as different persons. I saw them as different aspects of our development that stay with us. Dick, yes.
Yeah, as you might guess, I'm interested in saying something here.
Yeah.
So I get that you don't want to see these as parts, and I'm not here to try and convince you, but if you were that part, that 1 year old, and you were saying those things, and if I were talking to you about all of it, I think I could have a pretty intense and interesting dialogue with that 1-year-old. And it would be extensive and a lot about what it was like when you were 1-year-old in that or before in that photo.
Yes,
So how is that not a subpersonality? How is that just an adaptation? It's still not clear to me why you wouldn't, if it could talk that much, and even if I were to ask, are you a part or not, it would say, yes, I'm a part of you, I'm not you. How would that still just be an adaptation, I guess is my question.
well, first of all, yeah, you could have a conversation with it for sure. And your method might really work with that aspect of me, for sure. I'm just giving you how I see the mind developing.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, so that's the second. The basic need is not to have to work the rest from work. The third one is the capacity to feel our emotions to the full. Experience all our emotions, whatever they happen to be. That's the third irreducible need. And what Dick and I will both identify or have very often in people is that people just don't have freedom to experience their emotions. Certain emotions are acceptable and certain are not. So they push them down. And that's to make the attachment relationship work. Because here's what happens is that the child has this need to attach, but I just said the child also has this need to experience their emotions. In other words, to be authentic. But what happens if feeling your emotions and expressing them is not acceptable to your caregivers? Then the child has a kind of a choice to make, which is not a choice at all. There's no conscious choice making. I can be authentic and angry, and I can say my no, which I need to do because nature is telling me to say no, or I can stay attached to my parents. But there's no choice in the matter. So the authenticity gets sacrificed every time. And so that, for example, if we are, and along with that attachment relationship, that we have certain sort of needs. We need attention. We need to be attended to for who we are. Not for what we do, not for how we look, not for what we achieve, just for who we are. We need approval. We need to be approved of for who we are. We need to know that we're valued for who we are. We need to maybe make us feel special. We need esteem, which doesn't have to do with anything I achieve or show or attain, but just because I'm a human being, worthwhile in my own skin and in my own right. We need to be liked. We need to be loved. Now, if we don't get those unconditionally, if we have to work to get those met, then we will, if you don't get the attention, then we'll want to be attracted. It becomes very vulnerable to ask for them, because to ask for them directly, like Dick, if I'm having coffee with you and I've just met you, and I really want you to like me, but it's very vulnerable to say, Dick, I'd really like you to like me. Then I might be very nice to you so that you will like me. Mm-hmm. So that niceness, it's not a part so much, it's just an adaptation. If I wasn't loved for who I was, I might become very charming. If I wasn't valued, I'll want to measure up to somebody else's expectation. If I wasn't given the attention, I'll want to be attractive. Again, these are ways of adapting. So when it comes to compassionate inquiry, then it's a matter of what questions do we ask that'll help the person uncover how they develop these adaptations. What are the impacts of that adaptations in their current life? Yes, I don't say no to people, and I'm always very nice. What is the impact on you right now in the present moment? How did you develop that quote unquote need to be nice? Very often people will tell me that they had happy childhoods, but they still ended up with depression or anxiety or an addiction or an autoimmune disease or cancer. Very few questions will uncover for people what the reality of that so-called happy childhood was. Now, so it's a matter of very sharp inquiry, actually, or I shouldn't say sharp, I should say incisive inquiry.